The Neva River, winter 1916. Ice thick enough to bear the weight of a man, a horse, a secret, but not thick enough to hold what they are about to bury. A motorcar skids to a halt on the frozen expanse, headlamps cutting weak cones through the swirling Petersburg fog. Figures move with urgent, clumsy violence. They drag a heavy bundle, wrapped in a curtain, tied with cord. It leaves a dark, wet smear on the pristine white. The only sounds are the grunt of men, the crack of ice, the ragged puff of breath in the bitter air. One of them, a prince, is weeping, not from grief, but from sheer, unraveling terror. They hack a hole in the ice. The black water breathes up a plume of death-cold air. They heave the bundle. It sinks, slowly at first, then swallowed by the darkness. They stand there, panting, staring at the hole, praying it is over. Then, a hand breaks the surface. Not a living hand. A frozen, stiffened claw of a hand, rising from the deep as if in final accusation. They scream. They grab poles, battering at the apparition until it disappears again. This is not where the story ends. This is where it begins, with a corpse that refuses to die. This is the violent end of Grigori Rasputin, the man they called the Mad Monk. To understand the end, you must see the beginning. Not in a palace, but in the frozen mud of a Siberian village. Pokrovskoy, the smell of wood smoke and baked bread. The sound of chanting from a one-room chapel. Here, in the 1860s, a peasant boy is born. Grigori. He is different. Not just restless, but seeing. He claims visions. He feels the divine not in quiet prayer, but in a frenzied, physical ecstasy. The local priests are suspicious. The villagers are fascinated. He leaves, becomes a stranic, a holy wanderer. For years, he walks across Russia's vast, soul-scarring landscape. He learns the rhythms of the earth, the desperation of the poor, the power of a piercing gaze. He grows tall, with a tangled beard. His eyes, pale, intense, hypnotic, become his most famous feature. People say he can see into your soul and calm the storm inside it. He arrives in St. Petersburg at a moment of spiritual crisis for the aristocracy. The elite are dabbling in mysticism, seeking meaning in seances and occultism. Into this gilded world walks a man who smells of soil and sweat and authenticity. A genuine man of God, from the people. He is crude. He eats with his hands, makes lewd jokes, drinks like a sailor. And yet, when he speaks of repentance and grace, the most sophisticated ladies weep. His reputation reaches the ears of the most isolated, most anxious court in Europe, that of Tsar Nicholas II and Tsarina Alexandra. The Alexander Palace, Tsarskoye Selo. The air is heavy with the scent of lilies and fear. The only sound is the quiet, desperate weeping of the Tsarina. Her son, Alexei, the heir to all the Russias, is bleeding. He has hemophilia. A single bruise can mean days of agony, a minor cut, death. The royal physicians are powerless. They offer opium, bandages, prayers. The boy screams. The mother's faith in God, and in her husband's autocracy, cracks with every whimper. A telegram is sent. A prayer is said. A man arrives. He is shown into the boy's bedchamber. The smell of antiseptic and blood. The child is pale, his legs swollen and dark. Rasputin does not open a medical bag. He does not pray from a book. He sits. He takes the boy's hand. He speaks, softly, in that low, rhythmic murmur. He looks into Alexei's eyes. The crying stops. The bleeding stops. Modern medicine suggests hypnosis, the power of suggestion to calm a child and lower his blood pressure. But to Alexandra, it is a miracle, pure and simple. The man who saved her son is now a vessel of God's will. She calls him our friend. From that day, Rasputin's foothold in the Romanov dynasty is unshakable. He becomes the family's spiritual advisor, a constant presence. His influence seeps from the nursery into the corridors of power. He advises on appointments of bishops, ministers, even generals. His recommendation is that Tsarina's command. Her command, passed to the weak-willed Tsar, becomes law. The smell of the court changes. The old aristocracy, the perfumed nobles, catch the scent of a peasant on the silk upholstery, and they are revolted. Rumors slither through the salons of St. Petersburg, fueled by jealousy and genuine alarm. They say he holds orgies with his female followers, calling it a religious rite. They say he is a KHOST, a member of a flagellant sect that believes sinning brings you closer to grace. They whisper the most dangerous rumor of all, that he and the Tsarina are lovers. That the German-born Tsarina is sharing state secrets with this Siberian mystic, that he is a puppet of Russia's enemies. The war accelerates the dread. World War I is a slaughterhouse for Russia. Millions die. At home, there is hunger, inflation, despair. In the Winter Palace, the Tsar makes catastrophic decisions. And the rumor mill churns. It is Rasputin's influence. He is advising the Tsar. He is destroying Russia. A plot begins to form. Not in shadowy cellars, but in the finest drawing rooms of the capital. It is a patriotic duty, they tell themselves, to save the Tsar from himself, to save Russia from the Tsarina and her devil. The leader is Prince Felix Yusupov, young, wealthy, married to the Tsar's own niece. He is an aesthete, a lover of poetry and fine clothes. He invites Rasputin to his magnificent Moika palace. He has a pretext to meet his beautiful wife, Irina. She is conveniently absent, but there will be another attraction: music and wine. The trap is set for a cold December night, the night of December 29th, 1916. The air in St. Petersburg is so cold it feels like glass in the lungs. The Yusupov Palace on the Moika River gleams under a brittle moon. Inside, a basement room has been carefully prepared. It is decorated to look like a cozy den, a hidden retreat. A heavy bearskin rug on the floor. A polished table set with crystal decanters and delicate almond cakes. The cakes are poisoned. Prince Felix Yusupov personally supervises the preparations. The cyanide compound, provided by a co-conspirator, Dr. Stanislaus Lazarvert, is worked into the marzipan and the pastries, enough to kill several men instantly. The wine glasses are set out. A gramophone in the corner plays a soft American tune, Yankee Doodle Dandy. The scene is set for a murder that must look like an accident or a private vice gone wrong. The other conspirators wait upstairs. They are not common thugs. They are Grand Duke Dmitry Pavlovich, the Tsar's own cousin; Vladimir Purishkevich, a fervent monarchist politician; Dr. Lazarvert, who is so nervous he can barely function. They listen at the door, pistols in their pockets, hearts hammering against their ribs. At midnight, a car arrives. Out steps Grigori Rasputin. He is wearing a heavy silk blouse, embroidered trousers, and new leather boots, a gift from the Tsarina. He smells of cheap soap and, faintly, of the incense from his last prayer. He is suspicious. He did not want to come. But Yusupov was persuasive. The beautiful arena, the intimate gathering, the music. Yusupov leads him down to the basement. The room is warm, inviting. Rasputin's pale eyes dart around, taking in the finery. He asks for Irina. Yusupov lies, saying she will join them shortly. He offers a poisoned cake. Rasputin eats one. Then another. He drinks a glass of poisoned Madeira. He smacks his lips, commenting on the wine's fine quality. Nothing happens. Yusupov watches, a smile frozen on his lips, terror creeping up his spine. The monk should be convulsing on the bearskin rug. Instead, he is asking for more wine, complimenting the gramophone music. He eats a third cake. He drinks a second glass. He begins to complain of a dry throat, a slight tightness. But he remains very much alive. The minutes stretch into an hour. Upstairs, the conspirators are sweating. What is happening? Has the poison degraded? Is the man truly protected by dark forces? In the basement, Yusupov's nerves snap. He makes an excuse, climbs the stairs to confer with the others. Their faces are white in the lamplight. There is only one course left. Yusupov takes Dmitri's revolver, a sleek Browning. He descends the stairs alone. Rasputin is standing, looking at a beautiful crucifix on the wall. He seems weary, uneasy. He says he feels unwell. Yusupov asks him to pray. Rasputin turns to the crucifix, closes his eyes, and begins to murmur a prayer. Yusupov raises the pistol. He aims at the broad, silk-covered back. He pulls the trigger. The sound is catastrophic in the small, tiled room. Rasputin lets out a roar, a guttural, inhuman sound of pain and betrayal. He crashes forward onto the bearskin rug, twitching. A dark, wet stain blooms across the brilliant silk. The conspirators rush down. They stand over the body. Rasputin is motionless, eyes wide and unseeing. The doctor confirms it. No pulse. They are elated, dizzy with relief. The deed is done. They turn off the lights and go upstairs to compose themselves, to plan the disposal of the body. Grand Duke Dmitri leaves to get tools. The palace falls into a tense, waiting silence. Yusupov, alone, is drawn back to the basement. He needs to see it, to confirm the monster is gone. He flicks the light on. The scene is empty. The bearskin rug is there, stained. But the body is gone. A trail of dark droplets leads to a courtyard door. And then, Yusupov sees him. Grigori Rasputin is on his hands and knees in the snow-covered courtyard, crawling with impossible, grim determination. He is gasping, bleeding, but alive. He lurches to his feet, stumbles toward a gate that leads to the street, to freedom. And then, in the moonlight, he stops. He turns. He sees Yusupov standing frozen in the doorway. His face is a mask of blood and fury. His pale eyes lock onto the prince. He lets out a choked roar. "Felix! Felix! I will tell everything to the Tsarina." Yusupov screams for help. Purishkevich comes running. Rasputin is clawing at the iron gate, his fingers leaving bloody smears on the painted metal. He is getting it open. In seconds, he will be in the street, shouting his story to the night. Purishkevich draws his revolver. He fires, misses, fires again. The bullet winds off the cobbles. Rasputin staggers but keeps moving. Purishkevich, now a maniac, steadies his arm against a stone wall. He fires a third time. The shot hits Rasputin in the back. He stumbles. A fourth shot, point blank, hits him in the head. He falls. For good, this time. They drag the heavy, bleeding body back inside. The basement is a charnel house. The conspirators are no longer patriotic gentlemen. They are panicked murderers, their fine clothes spattered with gore. But it is not over. As they bundle the corpse into a curtain, one of them notices something. A hand twitches. An eye, miraculously untouched, opens. It fixes on Yusupov with a final, chilling clarity. They fall upon the body with a savagery born of pure, unadulterated terror. They beat it with a dumbbell. They kick it. They tie it with ropes. The aura of the holy man is gone. They are now desecrating a thing that has somehow, unthinkably, refused to die. The motor car speeds towards the Petrovsky Bridge. The frozen never awaits. They weight the body with chains. They push it through the hole in the ice. And still, the hand rises. It will be 3 days before the body is found, washed up on a downstream bank. The autopsy will tell a horrific, conflicting tale. The official report states cause of death as drowning. The river water is in his lungs. But he was also shot 3 times, once at near point-blank range to the forehead. Poison is found in his stomach, but not in lethal quantities. His body shows signs of a brutal beating. The story, inevitably, leaks, not as a noble act of patriotism, but as a grotesque, botched, almost supernatural slaughter. The Tsarina is hysterical with grief and demands the conspirators be hanged. The Tsar, weak to the end, exiles them instead. For the Russian people, the message is clear. The aristocrats are not saviors. They are butchers who killed a simple peasant, the Tsarina's friend. Rasputin, in death, becomes a martyr for some, a symbol of everything rotten for others. But his prophecy, uttered in a letter to the Tsar months before, now echoes with terrifying weight. If I am killed by common assassins, you, Tsar of Russia, have nothing to fear. But if it is your relations who have wrought my death, then none of your children will remain alive upon this earth for more than 2 years. The clock is ticking. The Romanov dynasty has 2 years left. The body, when it is pulled from the icy embrace of the Neva 3 days later, is a horror. The hands are frozen into claws, raised as if still trying to break the surface. The skin is pale, waxy. The famous beard is matted with river weed and ice. But the most chilling detail is the right arm. It is raised, stiffened in a final, grotesque gesture, not of prayer, but of struggle, as if, even in death, he was trying to fight his way back into the world. The police investigators work quickly, under the shadow of the throne. The stench of the river, of damp decay and fish, clings to the corpse in a makeshift morgue. The autopsy is a confused, politicized document. It states the cause of death as drowning. The river water in the lungs is undeniable. But the rest, the 3 gunshot wounds, one to the forehead at close range, the traces of poison, the brutal contusions, these are noted, then diplomatically sidelined. The official story is sanitized. The full, frenzied truth of that night in the Moika Palace is buried deeper than the body ever was. For Tsarina Alexandra, the news is an apocalypse. She collapses. The man who saved her son, her friend, is gone, murdered by the very aristocracy she despises. She wears black. She has a chapel built at the murder site. She sees it not as a necessary political assassination, but as a demonic ritual, a sacrifice that has doomed her family. She clutches her son closer. The mood in the Alexander Palace sinks from anxiety into a paralyzed, gilded despair. For the conspirators, there is no triumph, only flight and disgrace. Prince Yusupov and Grand Duke Dmitry are not hailed as heroes. They are exiled to distant estates, a punishment that, to the public, seems suspiciously light. Their story fractures almost immediately. Yusupov will later publish florid, contradictory accounts, each more dramatic than the last, painting himself as the noble slayer of a monster. But in the salons and the barracks, they are seen as bunglers, men who turned a political act into a messy, almost supernatural farce. The mystique of the aristocracy is dealt a mortal blow. If they cannot even competently kill one peasant, how can they govern an empire? And the empire is unraveling. The war grinds on, a meat grinder consuming Russian men by the battalion. In Petrograd, the newly renamed, German-sounding St. Petersburg, bread lines stretch for blocks. The air smells of frost, coal smoke, and discontent. Rasputin's murder does not save the Romanovs. It seals their fate. It becomes the ultimate symbol of the court's decadence, its detachment, its sickness. The whispers in the streets grow louder, the German Tsarina and the mad monk, the orgy in the basement, the bullets that wouldn't kill. It feels less like history and more like a dark, Slavic fairy tale gone wrong. Less than 3 months after Rasputin's body is fed to the river, the first sparks of revolution ignite. Strikes, mutinies. The February Revolution forces Tsar Nicholas II to abdicate. The Romanovs are placed under house arrest. And in that letter, his prophecy hangs over them like a shroud. If it is your relations who have wrought my death, then none of your children will remain alive upon this earth for more than 2 years. The clock runs out on July 17, 1918. In a cramped basement room in a merchant's house in Yekaterinburg, the entire Romanov family, the Tsar, the Tsarina, their 4 daughters, and the frail Tsarevich Alexei, are gunned down, bayoneted, and bludgeoned by a Bolshevik firing squad. Their bodies are stripped, mutilated, burned with acid, and thrown into a mine shaft. The dynasty is erased, with a violence that makes Rasputin's own end seem almost intimate. The fall of the Romanovs is the direct consequence of centuries of autocratic rule and catastrophic policy. But in the popular imagination, it is the final act of Rasputin's curse. The mad monk, from beyond the ice, had his revenge. In the century since, the debate has never ceased. It swirls around his life and death like the Petersburg fog. Who was Grigori Rasputin, truly? The saintly healer? To this day, some in Russia and within Orthodox sects venerate him as a Strastoterpets, a passion bearer, a martyr. They point to his genuine, documented calming effect on Alexei, his charity to the poor, his unwavering faith in a God of mercy, not punishment. Or was he the demonic libertine? The evidence of his carnal appetites is overwhelming from contemporary accounts. His philosophy of salvation through sin, of needing to touch the depths to reach the heights, fueled his notorious behavior. He was a man who believed his own spiritual power exempted him from earthly rules. Perhaps he was the ultimate political opportunist, a cunning, charismatic peasant who saw his chance at the pinnacle of a teetering power structure, and grabbed it with both dirty hands, understanding the vulnerabilities of a desperate mother and a weak-willed Tsar. Or was he something else? A mirror. Russia in the early 20th century was a land of brutal contradictions: ancient faith and modern industry, obscene wealth and crushing poverty, absolute power and revolutionary fury. Rasputin embodied all of it. He was the soil of old Russia crashing into the drawing rooms of the new century. He was the ID of the nation, unleashed at court. They feared him not because he was a devil, but because he was real, a raw, untamed, and unforgiving reflection of the country they had failed to understand or govern. His death, too, is picked apart. Did he survive the initial poisoning due to an inherent resilience, or because the cyanide was improperly prepared? Some suggest his notorious drinking had damaged his stomach lining, slowing absorption. Did the first shot, to the chest, miss his heart? The autopsy was rushed, the body thawed poorly. The rising hand on the Neva, a final, post-mortem spasm, or something more? The greatest mystery lies in his influence. Did he truly steer Russia toward ruin? Historians now downplay his direct political power. He was a symptom, not the cause. But symptoms can kill. His presence at the Tsar's side, the rumors he spawned, became the perfect propaganda tool for the revolutionaries. He made the unthinkable, the destruction of the God-anointed Tsar, seem not only possible, but necessary. His legacy is a ghost in the machinery of history. You can hear his echo in the paranoia of Soviet leaders, in the cults of personality that followed, in the enduring Russian fascination with holy fools and shadowy advisors. He is a warning of what happens when faith becomes fanaticism, when power becomes mystical, and when a nation's destiny becomes entangled with the will of one incomprehensible man. We are left with the image of that hole in the ice, the black water, the sinking bundle, and the hand. It is a hand that refuses to stay buried, a hand that claws its way back into our imagination, demanding we look and remember. It speaks of a violence that could not be contained, of secrets that would not stay at the bottom of the river, of a story so dark and strange that it forever hovers between history and myth. In the end, perhaps the most unsettling truth is this: we didn't kill Rasputin. We created him, and we are still trying to understand what he was.